Hello, everyone. So I have been listening to the audiobook version of Richard Rudd's Gene Keys, and I've been starting to study my hologenetic profile. And one of the first keys that comes up on that is the gene key number 5 under my life's work. And as I've started to listen to what that gene key is about, something came to mind that I thought I would share, that I haven't shared before, and it kind of is a missing piece, perhaps, to a story that I actually have told. So let me just attempt to get this out. So in the first few years of my business, which felt like a really, really long time, so probably the first 4 years, some of that I was sort of traveling and, doing different stuff and studying. So perhaps I wasn't even fully committed or something to my business but anyway, it was, I would say, the first 3 or 4 years. It could have even been a bit more. I just never thought my business was going to get any lift off. And I kept listening to things and analogies. I always remember this analogy that kept coming up about, a new business is like, you got to imagine it like a kettle is boiling, and you can't see anything that's happening, but the water is heating up, and then next thing you know, it's boiled, and that used to give me some hope. I was like, yeah, my kettle's boiling. Even, I can't see anything, but the kettle's boiling. Then the other thing that I was doing is, because of all of the different communities I was in at the time, it was like that real female entrepreneur empowerment sort of rah, rah, rah kind of scenario. And it was all about, your income goals and having really high income goals and like reaching for the stars. And, I remember I was, initially my goal was 5K a month, and it was like 5K a month, didn't get it, 5K a month, didn't get it. And I remember doing a process one day. I went to this, as part of when I was in this community, I went to Paris and went to this seminar, and, it was all high vibe and everything. I remember being on a train on the way into Paris, and I kind of like felt like I connected with this, no, it's 10K, and there were tears in my eyes as in, as I recognized this. And so now it was 10K a month. I wasn't making anywhere near that, right? So now, but anyway, it became 10K, and I really believed it. I really, I did various things that made me believe that if I could just envision that enough, and feel it. That's what I was really doing, was feeling it, which made the tears come to my eyes. And I was just like, man, this is going to happen. And I set a date, which was like 4 weeks, in 4 weeks' time. And that was going to be the date that I made my first 10K month, even though I hadn't reached 5K, right? And guess what? Didn't happen, right? So having in hindsight, having, goals like that and feeling things, of course, is really important, but you've also got to have some kind of mechanism for that to even happen. You've got to have offers that are even priced at a price point that means that you could do that without earn that money, without running yourself into the ground. I didn't have any of those things. There was no real, other than getting a magical check in the mail, which I was not going to get because no one knew where I lived anyway. I was doing house sitting at the time in just outside of Paris. And anyway, it didn't happen. I was devastated. So I think I probably continued to have these monthly income goals. But let me just get to the next piece of this story. I have shared before in my programs and probably on my social media here and there that I had this shift that I was like, you know what? I'm going to ditch income goals and I'm going to focus on building community. And then I talk about how I go and did that and blah, blah, blah. The bit that I remembered that I hadn't thought of in such a long time until I was reading the Gene Keys and under this Gene Key number 5, which, by the way, is all about recognizing patterns, recognizing and understanding patterns and patience. What happened is, well, there were a few things, but this bit that I had forgotten about was I came across this teaching of preeminence by a guy called J. Abraham. And I'm going to, underneath this video, I'm going to link you to a really nice summary of what this teaching is about, okay? And essentially, if I really distill it down to what is this all about, what J. Abraham was talking about is deciding to be your people's, your customer, your clients, or, you know, your future customer and clients' most trusted advisor, without asking anything in return. And to me, that was like, wow. So, you know, that really impacted me deeply and made me think about how I was doing such the opposite to that, right? You know, I was going to, you know, give my advice or knowledge or whatever, as long as you sign up for my freebie, you know, so everything was gated. Inside whatever, a program or a freebie or whatever. So this is one of the reasons that helped me decide to ungate, you know, to have no more email freebies, basically, because I thought, you know what? Yeah, like that is asking for something in return. I'm going to give you this knowledge, but I want your email address. So that helped me go, I'm going to let go of that. And so I made it my goal to be my people's, my ideal clients' most trusted advisor. And so what started to go through my head was this idea of community. And also it was like, how else can I build community? How else can I build community? I just kept asking myself that all the time. So it's a really good question to ask. And sorry, let me just back up the truck, how I drew this connection between being my ideal client's most trusted advisor and building community. Well, I also realized, I got around about this time, that I was like, you know, I mean, I was in Facebook groups playing the short game. I mean, not that Facebook groups means playing the short game, but that's what I was doing. I was like just putting out offers, discounting. You know, it was like, quick, it's whatever day that you can share your offer, and quick, get something out there. And I would get quick results. So it was this sort of, it was gratifying in that way, because it was like, well, instant gratification, right? But I realized that if I didn't have some sort of community, or we could also say audience or following, or just people who are interested in our work, who are interested in us, or me in my case, if I didn't have that, I had nothing. So if all I was relying on is a Facebook group algorithm, which I could easily drop through if I didn't keep peddling the, you know, the algorithm by engaging every day, multiple times a day, then I had nothing. So I started to see this importance of actually having building a genuine community or something like that. So that's how that happened. So then, yeah, it started with ungating my content. It started with me asking, how else can I build community? How else can I build community? And I found myself making different decisions, because before, all of my decisions were about client getting. Where's my next client? Where's my next client? It was just, everything was about client getting. When I switched it to community building, the way I operated changed, right? So then the next piece that was most significant in that is I also started sharing my point of view, my perspective. And probably initially, maybe I didn't even realize I had a point of view, and maybe that's where you are. You know, you might go, I'm not even sure what my point of view is. You know, it's probably there. But for me, it started to really emerge because I had this shift away from things like monthly income goals, that being the main measure of my success, freebies. You know, it just started to sort of pile up, these decisions that I'd made that were different to what was being told out there. And then I started to realize how nervous I felt about even mentioning that I was doing something differently. So, but as I started doing that, and I was nervous, and I thought that, you know, people were going to jump in and criticize me and whatever. It didn't really happen. You know, I've had one or two incidences that were not unpleasant. We were able to have an open conversation. You know, it's all been good. The world didn't end when I started sharing what I was doing, even though it was different to the general belief out there. The other thing that actually helped me have more confidence to share my point of view is really I was just sharing my experience. I thought this, I did this, this is what happened. You know, I sort of took people on that same epiphany journey that I had. And so if that was my experience, it could not be wrong. You know, someone may well come along and try and make me wrong, but when I thought of it like that it's my experience and therefore it is true to me, then no one can make me wrong because this is what happened, right? So that really helped. And the other thing that I realized, and this is a really important point when it comes to sharing your point of view or perspective or anything that you're doing differently, anything that you're afraid to share really, is that when you do that, you will validate a bunch of people who've heard the other, like the orthodox way of thinking or whatever, that hasn't resonated with them, and they hear you and they think, oh my God, I thought I was crazy. I thought there was something wrong with me, and look, this person feels the same as well. And so now they're going to be interested in hearing more from you. And what I found as well is, you know, that naturally will, that with the people who are ready, or, you know, they will go to your website and see what you're offering. It's not like we have to have a call to action on every single piece of content, because when you really share from your experience, you know, it makes people genuinely interested in working with you. That's basically what I found. So I hope you find this helpful. If there are any particular parts of this that really just were like a ping that really spoke to me, I'd love to hear about it. And this is Danielle Gardner. Thank you for watching. Namaste.